So I recently saw the Lego Movie Part 2 this past weekend, and I have a few thoughts about it. I'm driving right now, but I promise you I'm doing the same about it. Okay, so when I was going into the movie, I was kind of expecting just nothing like spectacular like the original Lego Movie, which is, by the way, it's way better. But the point is that the Lego Movie, when it was the original one, when it was first came out, nobody really expected much from it. It kind of looked like just like a toy commercial for Lego. But it came out, and it turns out, hey, this is a pretty good film. Honestly, like, it was very relatable to a lot of people, including myself. That was back in 2014, and the film was just all around. It was really funny. It was relatable, and the comedy was just it was the kind that both adults and kids could like. So honestly, all around, really great movie. Would highly recommend. And no, yeah. So with the original going like that, when the second part was announced, I mean, it obviously wasn't going to catch the spark that the original one had. But I mean, if it was anything like the first one, then I mean, you could expect something good from it. And when I did walk in that film in the theater, and then when I walked out, it turns out it's a pretty good film. Honestly, it really is. And it's not as great as you'd want it to be, but it still has a lot of the same charm from the first one. It's just that the first one, it was basically I wouldn't call it lightning in a bottle. There it is, lightning in a bottle. But it did make a pretty good big splash, and it really is a great movie overall. Like, just everything from like the way they animated it to just the acting, and again, the comedy was what really held it up. And it really is a fantastic movie. And so with the second part, it was good. It was good. I'm not saying it was bad. It's just that it doesn't have the same spark. So the second one, I think what happens to like most sequels that have like a killer first movie is just that the sequel's just not going to live up to the first one. That's what a lot of people are expecting, but at the same time you're not. But again, they're trying to recreate the magic of the first one, but it's just not there, and that's okay. But at the same time, that's what makes it less not as good as the first one, because it's trying to do the same thing, but it doesn't have the right conditions to do it, and it's just not the first one. So that being said though, it still is on its own as a movie. It does absolutely work. It still is a great movie. Just go and watch. I would definitely recommend that you watch the first one first if you kind of have to, because like the second movie, I won't go into spoilers, but it does pick off right where the first one left off, and it is kind of important to understand what happened in the first film in order to really understand like the plot of the second film. Would I say to recommend? Would I say it's like absolutely necessary? I would say no, but again, if you can see the first one, absolutely do. And if not, just to watch the first one, because it really is a quality movie that both adults and kids can enjoy, because it really has just everything for everyone, and it doesn't do it in like a like lowest common denominator shit, but it really is a great movie to just watch. And so I guess what I would have to say about the second one is that where it falls down is just that sometimes it's just trying too hard, especially now that it's going for like a musical thing. Like in the first one, there was really no songs except like Everything Is Awesome song, which is actually a good song when you really think about it. But in the second one, there was just like it was going for like a more musical thing. Like there were way more songs, and I'm not saying that was a necessarily bad thing. Like some of the songs were actually good, and some of the songs, and in the way that some of the songs were actually used in like the context of the film, it was actually pretty enlightening. Like they really did go together, and overall the musical part, it was well done. I mean, not as great as it could have been, and sometimes it did feel a little flat, maybe a little forced, but overall I would say that the music in this film, it is done well. not great, but I would definitely not say it's horrible. So, and where also the movie does fall flat is that some of the comedy, like, it's trying to, like, again, like I mentioned earlier, it's trying to recapture what was done in the first film, and sometimes it honestly does work. Like towards the end of the film, especially like with that final joke, it actually is really great. And honestly, like, they knew what they were doing at certain jokes, but with some of the other jokes, again, they felt a little artificial. Like, again, like they're trying to recapture like the first movie, but you really can't, because of what I said before. Like, they just can't. So oftentimes they do feel artificial or forced, but I'm not holding it against it. Again, it's just like, it's trying to get out of the shadow of the first film. That's, you can say that about the entire second part. It's just in the shadow of the first film. And while that is true, again, like I said, as a standalone film, I think it does a pretty good job. Is it as good as the first one? No, but it isn't by that much. Like, it's like the gap is there between like the qualities of the two films, but it's honestly not that much. So I would definitely recommend this film for people to watch, especially if you watch the first one. So I'll put it this way: if you're a fan of animation, definitely watch this film. If you were a fan of the first movie, you should definitely watch this film. If you're a fan of Lego, definitely watch this film. And if you're in the mood for just a movie that'll make you laugh, definitely watch this film. And just overall, if you're looking for a good movie to watch, I would absolutely recommend this. And I should probably make a formal review of the first one, but let me say this: I would definitely rate the first film, the first Lego movie, 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, but honestly, it really is great in a lot of areas, and it really is spectacular. So if I'm rating the first one an 8, I would rate the Lego movie, the second part, a 7. So, which goes basically everything I just said. The second film isn't as great as the first one, however, because of that gap. However, that gap is not that big. So if the first one is an 8, then this one is definitely a 7. And honestly, that's still a great rating, and it just overall, it really is a great film. So I would definitely recommend it. And yeah, and totally.